everyone. My name is Sarah. I decided to do my vaccine hesitancy on the HPV vaccine. And the reason for this is because while I was at drill, I had mentioned all the vaccines that we could do our case on, and I had a lot of feedback on the HPV vaccine. And so, some of the concerns that people had was um, their doubts and necessity. And I actually had a soldier that was telling me that her parents did not get her the vaccine because they felt that since she wasn't sexually active, there was no need for her to get the vaccine because her contracting, the risk of her contracting HPV was so low. And that overlooks the prevalence of HPV and her future exposure that she might have received, right? The other thing that another soldier had mentioned was that they actually never even had heard of it until they joined the army and they were supposed to get the vaccine then. And I feel like that lack of recommendation is something that we can prevent as future nurses for our patients and giving them the education that they need to protect themselves against HPV. Another thing that I feel is looking this up with the my research of in the CDC and the World Health Organization was the safety concerns that people have, thinking that there's going to be like potential side effects and what those are. And most side effects are really mild, like a headache, dizziness, mild fever. Every once in a while, very very rarely, you can have anaphylaxis or allergic reaction to the vaccine. And then the last thing that I had read when I was looking up this vaccine was that there's just misinformation with like all vaccines. There's always misinformation, and the fact that people feel that if they were to vaccinate their children at the recommended ages of this, which is actually from 9 to the age of 14, is when they think that that's the best time to get this vaccine for the maximum protection, that it would promote their kids to be more sexually active. And there's actually no link to that. So what is HPV? Well, it's a group of viruses, and it's actually like super common worldwide. And there's like all this research that shows that it like if you're sexually active, you will probably get at least one type of HPV. And HPV, for the most part, we can protect ourselves, like our body fights it off, no worries. But there is some type that are like can lead to serious health problems, such as genital warts and cancers of the cervix, the anus, and the throat. And the biggest thing about HPV is there's no symptoms really. And so you can have it and not even know. And so it is one of the most common sexually transmitted diseases. And um, so it it is scary because you can really get it and not know it. And there is actually no cure for HPV. The biggest thing that you can do for yourself is to get the vaccine to help prevent it. You can do other things like condoms and, safe sex practices and stuff, but the biggest thing is the vaccine. And what that vaccine does is it stimulates the immune system to produce these antibodies against HPV. And this prevents the future infections that have the most dangerous strains of the vaccine. And so, according to the CDC, which is the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, they say that the vaccine can prevent over 90% of these cancers caused by HPV if given at the recommended ages, so that 9 to 14 age range. And again, I think, this vaccine is so important because it can save lives. Like, if you do not get this vaccine, then you're putting yourself at risk, like your children at risk, for contracting HPV and getting these cancers. And like I said, there's no cure for it. So, World Health Organization strongly supports its use, saying like how HPV is a disease that is global. And um Like there is lots of like people have natural concerns and questions, but I think helping them making these informed decisions can really, inform them on what decision to make best for them. And this picture I found that is really good. I really like this picture. It kind of shows a man and a woman, and how this, how HPV affects the body, and that there's no cure, and that the virus prevents, contracting those dangerous like cancers and genital warts. And I just really like this picture because it does explain that you can get HPV like through skin to skin contact, or sharing, personal items and stuff like that, and that many infections resolve on their own, but it's the dangerous ones that we are super concerned with. So I hope this gave you enough information you needed on the HPV vaccine, and to, educate your patients in the future. Thank you.